try that out.
You got a safety cable?
What?
Safety cable? It's over the president's head.
No, it's down over there.
Still.
Yeah, we'll get something going. No, this is this. See how that's too small? It needs to be an 8.
That goes in. This goes in the remote.
Yeah, but that's too small.
Oh, it's.
You see that? That's the size right there. That's probably the right cord.
Yeah,
I
that's.
got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Get over here. And what did we do last time? Remember there was a setting that it was like triggering nonstop or something, and then we did something for Saudi.
So this. So which wizards are you using? You get that one right there.
It's the one that's on 7 by itself, and it's already turned on now.
Okay.
Excuse me. You need to do audio checks. This doesn't have
That's the plate for
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Audio check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You can't block that.
Yeah, that's right. This is super wide, so. Here, you want to do that, Abe, while I'm getting this camera set up?
Here's those two pieces.
1, 2, oh. Staff.
Staff mic check, testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, staff mic check, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, test, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, staff mic check, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2.
I'm just going to sit in your lap, that's cool, right?
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, staff mic check, test, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Remind you, but you can move right now. I'm just letting you. Yeah, take your time. I'm just letting you. So it's gonna be weird because I'll be staring right at you.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Check, testing, front row mic.
Washington Examiner. They are here.
They are here. This is the chart.
Hey, Daniel was supposed for the most reward pocket wizard to a nightmare. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's the plug that goes through the wizard and then into the camera. And it's got that little screen thing.
Thank you, sir.
We told him not to do that. Because he watched you on the camera.
The other thing that you could show her forward, Daniel, you could just hit test and trigger off a test.
Yeah.
That would probably be the best way to figure all my shots. Because that way you're not shooting. Hang on, Soul's calling me back.
Well, I need the board to do the test. It doesn't plug into anything. It's just plastic.
Okay, all right, no problem. Okay. No, look, show me your, here. Where's your camera?
Right there on the
ledge. So, watch this. It's firing right now. All you gotta do is hit the test button.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Let's see go fire with the camera. Yeah, it doesn't fire with the.
I need to figure out how to focus this thing though.
Let's see how focus button. Usually my turn.
Oh no, because you can't.
Yeah. So all you do is press the test button.
Okay.
Right? You can look. Watch the back of the camera. Can you see the back of the camera now? Watch it now.
Yeah, it's fine. It's working. I'm just trying to figure out because I gotta do all the settings backwards.
Oh, sure, of course.
Oh, that's why it's got the star setting.
I'm just going to use the test button on this. So if you use the test button, it fires that. So it's easy.
I think that's what I had. I knew there was something last time that was wrong.
Those are that.
It wasn't working, so I think I had to fire. That's what it was. When we were doing Saudi, I was running and I was pressing the button to fire it because there was no port. We didn't have the port working.
This would be a lot easier than doing.
Abe, can you stand over there for a second at the podium?
Yeah, apparently. It'll take it all the way off doing that.
No, I'm tight. It's open.
I'd like you to try without it.
We'll tell you why.
Yeah. No. We're going to do a good one.
Got it?
How do we move it up?
So that post that you had, flip it all the way up. So go the way.
This way?
Yep.
And then it will just stay.
No, then you got to bring it back down.
Right, I mean, but then it will stay.
Yeah.
Okay, go into the podium. It's actually a nice shot.
Okay, we good?
Well, what?
Yeah, can you...
I shouldn't.
No, that little guy's wide. You may need to come back.
Is there somewhere where we can see that?
I don't have any idea.
Because this right now is the perfect shot. This is you?
That micro camera? No, this one.
Oh. Whose camera is this?
One
The house?
One of the networks.
I was just saying, you just
Push it up just a little bit. There you go.
Oh, like this, you mean?
Yeah, and it's also better on the Magic Card.
Okay.
Magic Card is more stable.
There you go. Yeah, should be good.
That's kind of neat. Do me a favor, press that little trigger button.
I read everyone. Every single article.
Well, these guys are like, I love them.
Oh yeah, they're
Hey there. I don't know.
But that's good.
they pretty much all.
Curious about my food going bad. I think that's from.
Oh, yeah.
If we were to start.
Abe, could you stand back over there?
Thanks for your help.
Nobody woke up in the morning and had to do this.
Sure, where we're even looking.
I mean, do you want the back of his head in focus, or you want the front?
No, like when I zoom in. It's hard doing this thing backwards.
Yeah, upside down and backwards is very difficult because I find it really hard.
Oh, I can see the feet meter here. How many feet is that? Like 5?
6. Wingspan. Yeah, 6 feet.
Yeah, that's it.
It's at 5.7 focus and 2.8.
Now that's brave.
Yeah, I want to be brave.
I never.
This doesn't really matter.
I never do 2.8. Never. Never ever.
Let's do a little
For that reason.
It's pretty bright in here.
Because he's going to lean forward when he talks, right?
Well, he moves around.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not telling you.
It's
It's going to be in the back of his head anyway.
Yeah, everything will be pushed through.
No. It's a 2.8 at 6.3 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want the back of his head in focus, or do you want the room in focus?
Oh, that's also a good point. I was going to do the back of his head, but I think the room's... The back of his head ain't going to matter.
That's why we do like 4, 5, 5, 6, so that you have him and most of the room.
I hate this lens because it's not as nice as all the primes that I use. So, Dave, should I do 16 feet, 20 feet, 40 feet, or infinity?
What do you 2.8?
Yeah. But it's also wide, so more things are in focus.
Yeah, I don't know. What's 12 feet, 16 feet?
Tonight, and he's going to get in front of these world leaders who are very anxious and very concerned about his rhetoric on Greenland.
Okay, it's at 16. It still looks like you're relatively in focus with the red lines over you.
He's making the case that there is
It's going to be a full if you're eligible.
What?
I said it's going to be a full if you're eligible.
I am if somebody puts it on their paper. You want the ladder right there in the middle, Lynn? Is that what you've been asking for this whole time? Maybe we get him to stand on the ladder? Not with that end. All right. Thank you. I gotta get a new lens now. Thank you.
Shared, not just by the president, but other leaders. One came in overnight from U.S. Secretary General Mark Rutte, who was, I am committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. can't wait to see you. Another one from French President Emmanuel Macron wrote, I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland. Macron, by the way, invited Trump to dinner in Paris after Davos. At the same time, he's also calling on European leaders to use what they call the trade bazooka on the U.S., which blocks the U.S. from accessing some EU markets. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, earlier today, is trying to put these European leaders at ease, warning them to sit back, take a deep breath, do not retaliate, wait for the president to show up there in Davos in person and have those one-on-one conversations. The president is also pushing back last night on this idea that she's doing all of this because of the Nobel Peace Prize snub. It comes after the new-age prime minister said that Trump is, quote, very preoccupied with the prize and not getting it. Trump last night said he does not care about the prize, he cares about saving lives. We're also expecting a lot of questions about his board of peace on Gaza, who's in, who's out, some wondering if it's going to undermine the United Nations and the UN Charter. But again, affordability was supposed to be the main topic in his remarks in Davos. Tomorrow, making home ownership easier. We'll see if that has changed. We'll see if we can get any more details on those policy announcements in just a few minutes.
Yeah, like the wine, when we're talking about as well as the they are saying that still really are possible when it comes to Greenland. But again, how far are you going to stretch? Not with all the now they're there, having towards that. Today they're that message, talking to Norway, well, Denmark said essentially that because Norway had given them the Nobel Peace Prize, and no longer thinking about peace only as an option when it came to still predominant. Unclear what the relationship is there. Of course, we're talking about Greenland. Greenland, Norway is not, and also what they're doing. That supports the Nobel Peace Prize. But there are there's a lot going on here. They say that they hope that this is possible, that we go any further than this. But of course, when there was environmental trauma, that's right.
Second ball.
I'll put it under. Untangle myself.
I was here for all of those days.
Understood. Probably.
That was parts of
I know, right? No, it's just because of all the traffic. Because of all the traffic coming in and out.
That's what I guess people just say really.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not cold.
It's cold.
There's a Karoline sign.
Is there a ladder block? Physical person.
They do it for airlines. That's a pretty good poster for
Just do this. I get that, but like, now it's pulled off. They can always open it back up. Thank you. Thank you.
Easy now.
Sorry.
You gonna leave it like that? You gonna leave it like that?
Thank you. Oh, it's warm. Yeah. I think I have one. Yes. Yes.
When you watch it. It's so hot. Can we open the door?
I'm gonna roll this up like I do with my dog.
Save.
Not in here. It's the only place where we don't.
Oh, so hot.
Yes, I hear you. Stand by.
Thanks. Thanks. I was thinking about it.
Sorry, you're not getting it.
That's cool. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Boys, what am I getting there? Blue back or whatever. Black. The grape leaves. They're called black. What is it?
Yes.
Melange, that's right. There's something that's called pastry with cheese. Borax. What's that? Right. Yeah. They ran out of grape. You guys ran out of grape very quickly, and that was a problem. They're very good. Yeah. Of course, the churches ran out. Many churches twice a year. What do they do? Swing by. Yes. They did.
Did you say Borat?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah, very good.
She was over there once. You gotta give her credit for all this text.
Here it is. Is that it? Yeah, go. Yeah, I appreciate it. Believe this guy?
Big ol'. But it's not your normal tip.
I expect nothing less.
Say it again, yeah.
Someone
You're gonna get that.
Because you're under enough. You're going to jail.
One pulling up to 206.
Who do you think you are? This is the partner. You have to stay relaxed. Close the door.
Yeah, it's all you can get.
The press briefing room is really great.
It's gonna feel like Cleveland. I'm here all day.
Try the veal.
Try the veal.
No, go ahead.
You know what? There was more trouble. They said, oh, yeah.
Somebody who looks at me like me.
See, the European people like the top of their heads. I know, I don't understand.
Subscribe.
Saturday night.
The European models.
Sweet.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I think the last one was January.
Yeah, South of those four.
It's like, that was the last one.
Virginia.
We didn't have any last year. Like, unless it was like flurry. I know we didn't have like real snow. Maybe. It's all right.
I mean, yeah.
I guess there was also Sunday, so like.
Yeah, Jessica goes to herself. Never had that stuff. In
Great.
European model says.
Oh yeah, number 4 on our
Yeah, over against the Germans too. Didn't know what Instead of talking about
We just did this. It's too cold.
First a matter of fact.
Well, also.
Taking apart. Brings a blank. I don't know. I can do that.
It really is coming up.
You know, like up here, look at me. I got a
Yeah, well, so I was thinking the same thing. Mine's back on the back rack there. I had mine on it. Yeah, I took my fur off. But yeah, mine's my big giant river down the street. Ridiculous. I don't know. I haven't worn one. Right. I mean, this is my trunk. It's just Velcro's on it. 2 hours. But I haven't worn it with the fur. I just took my, that's just personal preference. I haven't worn anything. No.
I thought they said per kilo. Sure. I'm sure.
I'm sure, yes. 100% polyester fur. 100% natural polyester.
What? That was good, yeah. Oh, it was I know.
Yes.
All down.
Basically, these are just
Hey, how are you?
They took the plane grab.
And then there was another one. Yeah, DC. Yeah, DC. Yeah. You saw what you're saying. 5 years ago.
Off the record.
Off the record.
Oh, don't worry. Trusty cool cameras out there.
My crush.
I'm here for that. I have 30 questions on that. How will the tree pursue them at
Yes, sir, I'm here. All the people asking about the horrible hiring.
might get there and make like 3 rounds.
Starts talking about
What was the dam? We're down here. Before that, actually.
What?
Elevation.
You got it.
In gas.
Oh my God, they're
That's the guarantee.
We're trying.
Take them over the team.
Okay, you have time to go.
This is the perfect time to go.
Party foul.
Just go that way.
Go that way.
So don't do that on Instagram. 2-minute warning. Yep. 2-minute warning. 2 minutes. The official 2-minute warning? Yeah, they just sent it to the full chief. That too.
We're supposed to.
Wow, that's a big crowd. It's a lot of people. I think it's like a record. So these are accomplishments. We have a lot of accomplishments, and as you know, this is the anniversary, first anniversary, January 20th, and it's been an amazing period of time. We have a book that I'm not going to read to you, but these are the accomplishments of what we've produced. All page after page after page, individual things. I could stand here and read it for a week and we wouldn't be finished. But we've done more than any other administration has done by far in terms of military, in terms of ending wars, in terms of completing wars. Nobody's really seen very much like it. I think it's appropriate that because Minnesota is so much in the fray, and I say to my people all the time, and they're so busy doing other things, they don't say it like they should. They're apprehending murderers and drug dealers and a lot of bad people. And these are just some of the more recent ones that we have. And I can show you some of the people. Vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, if they're apprehended, and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all of the things that all of the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by a previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that, in many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers. They're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers, they're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane. These are just in Minnesota. In California, it's worse. In other states, it's worse. No, Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. And the problem is because of the agitators and insurrectionists, whatever you want, troublemakers, but they're paid agitators and insurrectionists. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians, can you imagine? And they don't do it. A lot of very low IQ people, they don't do it. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here, they have no money. They never had money. They never had a life. They never had a government. They never had a country, because there's basically no country. Somalia is not even a country. They don't have anything that resembles a country. And if it is a country, it's considered just about the worst in the world. They come here and they become rich and they don't have a job. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job. She's a crooked congressman. So here's another one. And I have, oh, by the way, we just took out, these are all what ICE is doing. And it's a dangerous job. These are rough people. Weapons. This one here is very bad. I'm going through this because I think we have plenty of time. I'm going to beautiful place in Switzerland where we'll be, I'm sure I'm very happily awaited for. In Switzerland, they don't know about this. They don't have this problem. They have other problems, but they don't have this problem. Look, killed somebody. Look, and these are rough people. These are not, this was all allowed into our country through open borders. These dumbest policies, you know, men and women's sports is dumb. But to me, having an open border for the world to come in, drug dealers and prisoners, Venezuela, as an example, opened their prisons into the United States. That's why one of the reasons I felt so strongly against Venezuela. Now I'm loving Venezuela. They've been working with us so well. It's been so nice. And an unbelievably nice woman also did a very incredible thing, as you know, a few days ago. We're talking to her, and maybe we can get her involved in some way. I'd love to be able to do that. Maria, maybe we can do that. But we're dealing with the people and the president and all of the people in Venezuela, and we've been doing great. The oil companies are getting ready to make massive investments there. They have more oil than even Saudi Arabia. There you go. These are rough ones. This is all Minnesota, every one of them. This is one state out of many. And these people are, let's see, yeah, these are all, so far, people that came from outside of the country. They were allowed in by Sleepy Joe Biden, Crooked Joe Biden, whichever you like. You can call him whatever you like. They're both right. He's sleepy and he's crooked. He was the worst president we've ever had. And we've had some bad ones, too. I can tell you, all you have to do is look at trade. You're not getting bored with this, right? I hope you don't. But these are people that you have to see. Strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and many other crimes. Gang member, known as one of the toughest people around. These are tough people. So this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I was sick for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday. Look at it here. 24 convictions. 24 times convicted. They're not charges. These are convictions. So he comes from outside the country. Do you think he's going to be good here? He's convicted 24 times. He's going to be good here, right? It doesn't work that way. It's a man murderer. It's one of many. One of many. All they want to do is get him out. They want to take him out of our country. And we're met with paid agitators and insurrectionists, troublemakers. They're paid. You know, when the woman was shot, and I felt terribly about that. And I understand both sides of it. But when she was shot, there was another woman that was screaming shame, 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 right? You saw it. So loud. It was like a professional opera singer. She was so loud and so professional. She wasn't a woman that was hurt, like, oh, my heart's injured. She was a professional. She's shame, shame. She's screaming shame, shame. I said, that's not a normal person. That's a professional. These are professional agitators and professional people that want to see our country do badly. But that's not happening because we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, despite this stuff. Look at this. All top of the line criminals. They're not going to be good. They're not going to be well behaved here. I could do thousands. We had over 3,000 in the last fairly short while. Just in Minnesota. What's the number, Carol? 10,000.
10,000 criminals arrested in Minnesota alone.
10,000 criminals. And these are serious criminals. Now, how can a place with 10,000 criminals, how can you have a state? And yet they're fighting us. Yeah, I like that guy. He keeps nodding to me. You agree with me, I guess. I like him. I don't know who he is, but I like him. He keeps nodding. He says, you're right. He's obviously a little on the right side, maybe. Look. These are rough ones. So we just took this off a stack. We have many stacks like this. Like, I could go 30 times what I'm showing you now. Relations with Hezbollah, that's nice. Why do we allow them in our country? I'm just looking at these charges. It's just pretty incredible. Many murderers, many, many murderers. People that murdered. So what ICE does, and Border Patrol is incredible, too. I mean, Paul Perez and that group is incredible. Mostly Hispanic, by the way. They're like 60% Hispanic. You know, they talk about Hispanic. They're mostly Hispanic, right? And they're unbelievable people. And then they say, oh, we discriminate against. I love Hispanic. They are unbelievable, entrepreneurial. They have everything. I did great. I did the highest. Nobody ever got numbers like I got from the standpoint of being a Republican. But even if you look at Texas, I won the entire border along Texas, between Texas and Mexico. It never happened before. Nobody's ever done that before. I did it. As a Republican, I did it. I love the Hispanic. And they accuse us of all sorts of things. 60% of the people we're talking about, they're the best people we have, and they're Hispanic. The Border Patrol is largely Hispanic. ICE is largely Hispanic. They're unbelievable people. I don't know how they can take the abuse. They're taking rough people like this, like all of them. We have 10,000 at least. I could have done 10,000 of them. You're lucky I only did like 100. And this isn't even the worst of the group. They have murderers. They have some people we can't use their picture for legal reasons, but they're up for murder in their own country. And we jeopardize their case. When we send them back and we coordinate with other countries. A tremendous amount of work. All allowed in here by an open border policy of the worst president in the history of our country. A man that didn't win the election, by the way. It was a rigged election. Everybody knows that now. And by the way, numbers are coming out that show it even more plainly. We caught him. So I just want you to know that it's a terrible thing. Here's the book on accomplishments. And this is something, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. Boy, did you hear that? That was nasty. But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened as my finger fell off. That was nasty. I think somebody did that. It was him. It was my man. How were you? You didn't do it. I know you did. I know you didn't. So, but here's the book. These are all things we have. I'm going to read a few of the samples, but look at this. These are all, each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff, too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world. So, I will read you a few. We ended Biden's stagflation. We were in stagflation. That's a disaster. That's far worse than inflation. As you know, he had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. Pick your choice. But they had the biggest inflation in the history of our country. We have it right down to a normal number now. We're going to get it even a little bit lower. Created super high. What we've done with growth is incredible. We created super high economic growth, and America is booming. It's booming. There are thousands of businesses right now that are being built. Many of the biggest factories in the world are being built right in our country. They're not going to other countries. They're leaving other countries. Fourth quarter GDP is on track to pass perhaps much more than 5% growth, and that's despite the fact that we had a Democrat shutdown. They shut down our country, and we had 5%. Nobody in this room has ever heard about 5%. I think it could be 20% if we do it right. If we don't, every time we have good numbers, they raise interest rates. You shouldn't do it. In the old days, if you had good numbers, they'd lower interest rates, or they wouldn't do anything. Here, they try and kill it. They always try and kill success. Over the last 20, 25 years, that's the way. In the old days, if you had good numbers, the market would go through the roof. Today, if you have good numbers, the market goes down. But by the way, we've had the best stock market in history, the best 401ks in history, and we inherited a mess. The numbers that we inherited were way up, and now we brought them, almost all of them, way down. We brought them way down. I mean, I'm not getting. Maybe I have the bad public relations people, but we're not getting it across. We inherited high numbers, and we brought them way down. And look at gasoline. They have places in the country now, $1.99 a gallon. $1.99, $2.30, $2.50. I guess the average now they're saying is $2.31. I mean, he was at $4.50 and $5 for periods of time. And he went back to the Trump formula, but he didn't do it properly, and he really went back to parts of it because you would have had $8 gasoline if they didn't. But he didn't do it properly. He had people that didn't know what they were doing. Core inflation for the last 3 months is 1.6%. 1.6. Their core inflation was so high that nobody could even calculate it. Under Biden, real incomes declined $3,000. Think of that, $3,000. That's a year. In 12 months, Trump real incomes went up by $2,000 and $3,000 and even in some cases $5,000. It's a tremendous difference. Stock market has set 52 all-time record highs during the course of the 11 months, because this was done on 11 months. Now we are actually officially 12 months as of today. 52 all-time record highs. That means 401ks did great. I have people see me all the time, policemen that guard us really well, and got to know them a little bit. And they said, "Sir, you're making me look so good. My 401k is through the roof. My wife thinks I'm the greatest genius, that I'm a financial genius, like Warren Buffett." He told me that. He said, I think they have better returns than Warren Buffett right now. But he said, all my life my wife has been criticizing me for not being smart financially. Now all of a sudden she loves me more. But we added $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, saving many people. I mean, they were going out of business. Think of it. We added $9 trillion of value to retirement accounts, savings accounts, and 401ks. That's during the course of 12 months. And I think it's probably 11 months because I don't think they have it for the 12. They have it for the 11. Added $9 trillion of value. Lifted more than 1.2 million Americans off food stamps in 1 year. They would have had another 1.2 million. We would have had, welfare would have gone up. And instead of investing $18 trillion in our country, now it's probably more than that, but $18 trillion and having thousands of plants being built all over the country, you would have had thousands of plants closing all over the country, and you would have had disinvestment, and you would have had welfare going way up. You know, if you look at SNAP, take a look at SNAP, what happened with that? It was at $7 billion, and it came out to over $51 billion. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. The past administration, they had no clue. Or they were really bad, but they basically had no clue. But they did have a concept. I mean, they're still trying to sell the idea of men playing in women's sports. You saw that in the Supreme Court. I mean, some of those justices were fighting for them, too. They were fighting for them. But you saw that just the other day in the Supreme Court. Men playing in women's sports doesn't work. Secured a record-breaking $18 trillion in commitments for new investments. Apple, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Oracle, TSMC, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly and Company, Micron, AstraZeneca, General Motors, Hyundai, Ford, Honda, GE Aerospace, many, many others. I left a Ford plant a week ago in Michigan that they were going to close 2 years ago, and now they just announced that they're going 24 hours around the clock making cars. Tariffs did it. I don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. I think to me it reads so plainly. Couldn't be plainer. You're allowed to do a license. Tariff is probably less severe than what a license could be. But think of it. You're allowed to do a license, and then they have a clause at the end, something to the effect, or what is necessary, something to that effect. And what is necessary was tariffs. I don't know where there's a case even there, but we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, and if we lose that case, it's possible we're going to have to do the best we can in paying it back. I don't know how that's going to be done very easily without hurting a lot of people. But we're waiting for that case anxiously, and we have tremendous national security because of tariffs and tremendous income. You know, we have, and by the way, no inflation. So everyone said, oh, tariffs will cause inflation. We have no inflation. We have very little inflation. Biden had inflation, and he didn't do tariffs. We had a huge problem. We have a 62% reduction in our trade deficit. So if you had a 1% reduction, a normal president, would have a 1%, 2% reduction. Everybody would be high-fiving. Had a 62% reduction. Next year we won't have a trade deficit. We secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much. And to me, I think this might be the biggest thing of all. We get zero talk about it. The New York Times had a story way in the back of the paper, a little story about it. I think it's the biggest thing there is when you talk about healthcare. Drug prices will go down more than ever before for any country because we were priced at such a level that we were subsidizing the entire world, big place of the world. We were paying 10, 12, 13 times more than other countries. 13 times more, not 13%, 13 times more. A pill that was selling in London for $10 would sell in New York for $130. It's 13 times. More than that even. But we secured most favored nations agreements to slash drug prices by as much as 300, 400, 500, and even 600%, including with Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, Gilead Sciences, EMD, Serenio, and many others. If you look at some of the prices that are coming down, where a price would come down $1,300 coming down to $87. Think of it. So something that was costing $1,300 is now costing $87. And the fake news doesn't want to write about it. That's why I do this. I don't like to do this, to be honest with you. But I do it because got to get the word out. We signed one big, beautiful bill. I call it the Great Big Beautiful Bill, delivering the largest tax cuts in history. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We made interest on car loans tax deductible for U.S.-built automobiles only. So if you buy an automobile built in the United States, we're not doing it for Germany and Canada and different places. We're doing it only if it's built here. We want them to be built here. A lot of the Canadian auto plants are closing and they're moving into the United States. Same thing with Mexico, same thing with Germany, and same thing with Japan and other countries. They're moving into the United States because of tariffs. Because they don't want to pay the tariffs. It's too much. They can't pay the tariffs. So they're coming here. Nothing different than what other smart countries did. But it works better for us. Under my leadership, it's not done properly, but it's done properly. We have, again, more plants being built than at any time in the history of our country. Passed the largest spending cuts in American history, and that was true in my first. We had a tremendous first term also. We rebuilt our military. We had one of the best. We had the best economy in the history of our country, but we're blowing it away now. When this stuff starts opening up, you're not going to see anything like it probably ever again. We slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in a single year. Think of that, 27. You could do it 2%, 1%, 0.5%, 27%. And that's with all of the things we have to do, all of the people we have to put on the payroll to get rid of people that are murderers. Again, when you see people in Minnesota that are murderers, these people are fighting to keep them there. And I say to Christie and to Tom Homan, the great people, they're working so hard. Look at the border. The border is now secure. First time, Biden said you couldn't do it. You need legislation. I had no legislation. I said close the border. Within 1 month, we had almost nobody coming in. Now for the last 8 months, nobody came into our country illegally. And I find that hard to believe because you'd think somebody, because it used to be millions of people just poured into our country. And the people that do that are Democrat sort of aligned. So, they're not doing me any favors. We had nobody come in. We have a very strong border. We have very few people coming up. They're not going to make the trek because they know they probably won't be coming in. So it's not as hard as you think. But I didn't have to go back. Remember they said, we need legislation to close the border. They had millions of people coming in a month. We have nobody coming in, and we're getting the murderers out. Murderers People from prisons and jails, many countries opened up their prisons and dropped them into the United States. Those are the people who are getting out. And we have a lot of heart. And I said, you got to lighten up on this. We have a lot of heart for people. They came in illegally, but they're good people, and they're working now on farms, and they're working in luncheonettes and hotels and all. And we're looking to get the criminals out right now, the criminals. And I think it's very important. I mean, every once in a while you see a story, we take somebody. He should be out because they came in illegally. So in theory, they should be. But we're focused on the murderers, the drug dealers, the mentally insane. We have a lot of mentally insane killers. I mean, you can't even talk to them. It'd be nice if you could have a little reason, but you can't even reason. These are seriously ill people. You have a couple of countries where they were loaded up. Their mental institutions and insane asylums were loaded to the gills. They couldn't get. They're empty now. But they're filling up because we're bringing them all back. We know where they came from. And every country accepts them. You know, under Biden, they wouldn't take, they had so little respect that they'd bring them there and they wouldn't take them. They said, get the hell out of here. They would be bringing a plane in to land in a country, and they'd put 5 planes on the runway so you couldn't land the plane. So they'd come back with the people that they were bringing back. They don't do that with me. They do that with me, they have problems. They don't do it. They accept them back. They're not happy about it, but they accept them back. Cut a record number of regulations. I promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every one new regulation. Instead, we cut 129 old regulations for each one added. Think of that. I wanted to do 10. In my first 4 years, I did. When we put on a new regulation, you had to cut 8. This year, I said you have to cut 10. Instead, we cut 129. So every time, so far, can't remain like that, I don't imagine. I hope I can, because we have so much wasted regulation, stupid regulations. Regulations where they go by California, which is a disaster state, with a governor that truly is doing a bad job. He's killing that state. If he ever ran the country, this country would be Venezuela very quickly. Using tariffs slash the U.S. trade deficit by an incredible 77%. The trade deficit is down, and that doesn't include the last month where we had our best month. We slashed the trade deficit by an incredible 77% in 1 year with no inflation, something that everyone said could not be done. So we had essentially no inflation. In fact, the last month we had almost no inflation. But we slashed the trade deficit by 77%. If you slashed it by 1%, that was good. Again, we did that with tariffs and intelligence. We did that with November 5th, great election. We secured historic trade deals to reduce barriers on U.S. exports with countries covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Think of that. American exports are up by more than $150 billion this year. People said, oh, we're not exporting. All we do is buy. If you keep buying, you're not going to have a country for very long. So we increased exports by more than $150 billion. Investment in American factories is up 41%. That's a record. Nobody goes 41% up. You go 2% up, 1% up. You go down by 3%. If Kamala got elected, the 41% up would be 41% down. We removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payroll. That's another thing. So we have, we announce our unemployment numbers, call it unemployment or employment. And they were very good, but we could make them great. But we've slashed tremendous numbers of people off the federal payroll. Because ultimately, if you're on the federal payroll, I mean, we have jobs where they had 10 people for every job. So we cut. Now, if you want to see some good numbers, I'll hire 1 million people. We cut millions of people off the federal payroll. I don't like doing that, but the good news, I don't feel badly because they're getting private sector jobs and they're getting sometimes twice as much money, 3 times as much money. They're getting factory jobs. They're getting much better jobs and much higher pay. But all I have to do is say, like, what the Democrats do all the time. They hire 1 million people, and then they hire another million, another million. They load it up, and it says, oh, they only have a 3% unemployment rate. It's a fake rate. So with us, we're proud of the fact that we cut so many because, again, I don't want to cut people. But when you cut them and they go out and get a better job, I like to cut them. And sometimes they have to be forced to do that because, you know, it's like they want to stay where they are. They don't know. And then all of a sudden they end up, we have many cases, Karoline, where people were devastated. They hated Trump. I got caught from my very boring federal job where they had, again, sometimes 10 people to do one job. And they were very upset. And now they ended up with a job where they get paid 3 times more money. They're ending up buying houses. It's like crazy. So they went from not liking me to liking me a lot because it's hard to get. We need people. We need people. It's one of the reasons. I mean, I want to, when you have good people in the farm or good people in hotels and everything else, we want to work with them as much as we can. Under Biden, 1 out of 4 jobs added was a government job. Think of that. So 25% of the jobs added. That's when you know that, that's 25% of the jobs aren't real jobs. But again, I could do that. I could add 2 million jobs right now, would have an unemployed. I could say just hire some more people. I do the opposite. I say get rid of everybody that's unnecessary because that's the way you make America great again. When you have, you know, all these jobs where people are sitting around doing nothing and they get a lot of money by the government, it's no good. But that's what the Democrats do. They show, oh, we were at 4% unemployment. That's a good number. But they just add jobs, or they wouldn't cut. They would never cut jobs. Under Trump, 100% of all new jobs created have been in the private sector. Think of that. Not 1% has gone to federal. So under Biden, 1 out of 4 was a government job. Under Trump, 100% of the new jobs created, 100% came from the private sector. That's how you make your country wealthy and strong and good. We inherited the worst border in history and turned it into the strongest border in history. Illegal crossings have plummeted to the lowest level ever recorded, down 99.999%. That means down 100%. 99.99. Now, I want to find out who that one person is. For 8 months in a row, 0, and these are government numbers, these are not my numbers. For 8 months in a row, 0 illegal aliens were admitted to our country. 0. Nobody came in, unless they came in legally. We have a big process for having people come in legally, by the way. A lot of people are coming in legally. They have to prove they love our country. They have to prove that they're not going to need welfare. A lot of things they have to prove. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration, where because we're getting all of these illegal people out. People that came in illegally, in many cases they're criminals, in many, many cases. You remember when they used to say that the people that come into our country as immigrants are very nice people, they're wonderful people, they don't commit crime. No, they make our criminals look like babies. They make our Hell's Angels look like the sweetest people on earth. The Hell's Angels are now considered a nice, high-quality person. I like the Hell's Angels. They voted for me. They protected me, actually, believe it or not. But they make our criminals look like babies. These are some of the most vicious people anywhere in the world. They came from the Congo. The prisons, I know the Congo because I ended the war with the Congo and Rwanda. Tough group, very tough group. They came from prisons in the Congo. Some of the toughest, meanest people you'll ever meet. Thank you very much. They allowed them to come into America. These are tough people. Before my election, 100% of net job creation was going to foreign migrants. Since my inauguration, 100% of the net jobs created have gone to American-born citizens. That's a big thing. In other words, we're now taking care of our people. 100% of net jobs created have gone to the American-born people. Before that, we didn't care. Designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and we've hit them hard. You've seen what we've done on the water. We're starting to do that on land. The land is much easier, actually. Water is incredible. We did that on the water so that when you do it on the land, they don't go to the water. Nobody's going into the boat business right now, I can tell you. 97% down drugs coming in by water. Think of it, 97%. Nobody ever heard of that before. They heard 2%, 1%. It went up 2%. 97, and we're looking for the 3%. Who the hell are the 3%? They're crazy. But we've taken out almost 100% of the drugs coming in by water. Now we're going to be very shortly starting drugs coming in by land. We know exactly where they're coming from. Removed tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, savage criminals, and others. We removed them from our country. They're out. They're gone. In some cases, they're so dangerous that we put them in jail because we don't want to give them to their country. Their country doesn't do anything, and they end up coming back. We have some that they're so bad that we don't want to really release them. We want to put them in a jail where we know they're properly ensconced. Think of that. Remove tens of thousands of illegal alien gang members, drug dealers, murderers, child predators, human traffickers, fraudsters, and savage criminals. Why wouldn't you want them removed? The reason is because these are insurrectionists that are doing this work. And, you know, they're going to make mistakes sometimes. ICE is going to be too rough with somebody, or, you know, they're dealing with rough people. They're going to make a mistake. Sometimes it can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had the tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say, ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents, and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump, loved Trump. And, you know, it's terrible. I was told that by a lot of people. They said, oh, he loves you. He was I hope he still feels that way. I don't know. It's a hard situation. But her father was a tremendous, and parents were tremendous Trump fans. It's so sad. It just happens. It's terrible. Halted all refugee admissions to the United States, including from Somalia, which is a terrible, terrible place, another dangerous place. And we also stopped the pirates because they get the same treatment as the drug boats. So in Somalia, the Somalians, you know what they're good at? That's about the only thing they're good at is they're good at pirating ships at sea, big ships. So you have a huge oil tanker with millions of gallons, millions of barrels of oil. And if it gets hit by a big weapon, the whole thing blows up. And they don't want to fight, because if they do, they're told by their insurance companies, do not hand over the ship. And they're not allowed to have any guns on the ship. They're literally, you have these massive ships being taken over by a Somalian small boat with a big weapon. Because if they hit the side of the ship can blow up. You talk about a blow up. Bad. We've seen some bad things happen. And the insurance companies, some of these ships cost more than $1 billion to build. And the insurance companies say, look, we'd rather give them money than take a chance on $1 billion insurance policy. But they don't have to worry about it, because we hit them the same way we hit the people with the drugs in their boat. They don't know what the hell happened. But all of a sudden, there are no pirates at sea. Do you notice? We haven't had a boat taken in a little while. Came out of Somalia, really corrupt place. It's not a country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. I always hate to see this. Ilhan Omar, she comes from Somalia, a backward country, probably the worst country. They say it's the worst country in the world, if it's a country. I don't even think it's a country. There's no organization, no anything. They don't have police. They don't have military. They don't have anything. They just have people running around, killing each other and trying to pirate ships. But she'll come here. Comes And then she wants to tell us how to run our country. The Constitution says that I am entitled to this. I can't stand her. Terminated all taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens and kicked 275,000 illegals off of Social Security. They were illegally getting Social Security. 275,000 people. I'm telling you, it's not that this is pleasurable, but if I weren't elected president, this country was going to be destroyed quickly, very quickly. I think within a year, if you had Kamala or a Joe type. I mean, Joe was a disaster, but if you had Kamala, he was the replacement. I was up by like 25 points on Joe, and they said, hey, let's get somebody else. This never happened. Well, I had so many firsts. You're leading somebody by a lot, and they say, oh, let's take him out, let's put somebody. That's like I said to Dana White the other night. I said, you know, Dana, it's like you have a fighter, two fighters, one guy is winning by a lot. And they say, oh, let's take this guy out, let's put a new fighter in the ring with him. That's what happened to me. I was doing great with Biden. The whole campaign was against Biden. All the money was spent against Biden, and all of a sudden I got Kamala. Everyone said, who the hell is she? But that didn't work out too well for them, but never happened before. We are about lots of firsts. Designated English as the official language of the United States of America. We did that very powerfully. And while we're at it, we also took the Gulf of Mexico, and now it's the Gulf of America. Because we have 92% of the shoreline. It always bothered me. I'd say, you know, we have most of the shoreline. Mexico has a small percentage, talks about 8%. We have 92%. And I said, why is it the Gulf of Mexico? It should be the Gulf of America. I was going to call it the Gulf of Trump, but I thought that I would be killed if I did that. I wanted to do it. I wanted to. My people work so hard. Sir, I don't think it'll look too good. I'm telling you, it's a good thing. And it'll be hotter than ever, I said. No, but I decided not to do that. I'm joking, you know, when I say that. I was not going to call it the Gulf of Trump. Because tomorrow it'll be, Trump wanted to call it the Gulf of Trump, but he was rebuffed by his people. My people don't rebuff me too much. The Gulf of Trump, that does have a good ring, though. Maybe we could do that. It's not too late. No, we have the Gulf of America now. It's great. Our country is proud for the attack on Venezuela, the attack on the Iran nuclear capability, wiped it out. I mean, first administration, Soleimani, the father of the roadside bomb, al-Baghdadi, the father of ISIS, who was rebuilding ISIS. We wiped them out. Done a great job. Signed an order that will end birthright citizenship for children of illegal migrants. You know, that case is in court right now. That case was meant for the children of slaves. All you have to do is look at the years. Look at the years where the cases were filed and where the decisions were made. They were right at the end of the Civil War. They're trying to say that, you know, in China's making a big business out of that. They come to the country, they have a child, the American citizen, they get all the benefits. It had nothing to do with that. That was for the children of slaves. And I hope the Supreme Court so rules. Designated fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. It is. We lost, I believe, 300,000 people this year. 300,000 people. That's like filling up one of those big football stadiums 5 times. It's not even believable. I mean, you could be in a war and you wouldn't lose that many people. So we designated fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. Conducted numerous successful military strikes against narco-terrorists operating in our hemisphere, including the water strikes. Drugs brought in by ocean. So I told you that we're down by, I mean, close to 100%. It's hard to get somebody to pilot those boats, very hard. They have to be people that don't watch television, don't read the news. And we just blew up their facility. They had a docking facility where the drugs were stored. And now we have a great relationship with Venezuela. We're getting along fantastically with the leadership in Venezuela, so we wouldn't have to do that. This was done before the attack. But we captured and brought to justice the outlaw dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who, through drugs, killed millions of people in our country. Tremendous drug dealer. Also sent millions of people into our country, including Tren de Aragua, the worst gang. They say it's the worst gang in the world. They took over parts of Colorado. They just take the apartment building. They just took it away. Just took it away like we're here. They cut the hand off one man because he called the police. Who called the police? I did. You took my apartment from me. Boom. No hand. This is what they sent us. Restoring law and order, new category. D.C. and Memphis, federal task forces deployed massive numbers of federal law enforcement officers and National Guard to restore safety. Crime down in D.C. is almost down to nothing. D.C. was a very, very dangerous place. And I think you probably know better than I do. I have a lot of people in the media thanked me for that, but some of them found it hard to thank me. But, you know, D.C. is now, look how beautiful. D.C. is now, you can walk right from here to a restaurant, right through the center of town. You can be with your child, with your loved one, with your lover. Your lover's not going to be killed anymore, so you can act like a real lover. But you can walk right through the middle of the town, and D.C. is beautiful again too. You notice we took all the fences down, almost all. The rest are coming down. We got the graffiti all off. National Guard's been amazing. You know, we didn't tell them to do that. That's not their job description. But they were picking up garbage and everything. They were great. And I don't know. To me, a town, it looks better when you have military people. These are big, strong guys. The bad guys look at them and they say, we're not going to mess around. But what they don't know is that we took over 2,000 people out, permanently out of D.C. These were career criminals. But I feel much better seeing those people there. I went in a couple of times and had dinner in D.C. I walked right down the middle of the street. I felt very safe. A year ago, I couldn't have done that. I would have been crazy to have done that. And Secret Service wouldn't let me do it. They weren't thrilled anyway, I will tell you. It wasn't like they were thrilled, but we did it, and it was great. But D.C. is a great thing. We have virtually no crime in D.C. anymore. And before we did this move, it was we could do the same thing with Chicago. You know, we brought Chicago down 25%, even though we just had a minimal crew there. We brought Wisconsin down. We brought Minnesota down, way down, even though everything's a fight, you know, because they want to keep those people that are lying on the floor. They want to keep those people in Minnesota, but they really don't. I don't think the real people of Minnesota, it's a very corrupt place, and the elections are totally corrupt. I feel I won it all 3 times. Nobody's won that state since Richard Nixon. It's a rigged state. And the Somalians vote as one group, even if they're not citizens, and they vote as one group, and you know, you get 600,000 votes against you. They all ought to get the hell out of here. They're bad for our country. Nationwide achieved the largest reduction in violent crime on record. So this just came out. Nationwide, over the last 11 months, achieved the largest reduction in violent crime on record, including the largest one-year drop in murders ever recorded. Almost 2,000 lives were saved. That's despite the fact that we took in criminals under the leadership of the Democrats and Joe Biden. More motor vehicle theft is down by 100,000 vehicles nationwide. That's another. Nationwide, the motor vehicle theft was out of control, and now it's very much in control. It was down by more than 100,000 vehicles to a record low. Began the process of eliminating cashless bail policies across the nation. You got to get rid of your sanctuary cities, and I hope our people know that we're not going to pay sanctuary cities. We're not going to pay them anymore. They are sanctuary for criminals. They hold criminals. We're not going to pay. They can sue us, and maybe they'll win, but we're not giving money to sanctuary cities anymore as of the beginning of the month. We began the process of eliminating the cashless bail. Well, cashless bail is where it all started. It's a disaster. And then other places. I don't know if it started in New York. I remember it starting in New York. So if somebody comes in, murders somebody, and they let them out, no bail, no nothing. Basically, cashless bail means you just get the hell out. And they go outside. We have one case where a guy murders somebody, gets released, and goes out and murders somebody. 2 people in one day. No, we got to get rid of cashless bail. They got to pay, got to have bail. There's a reason for bail. Long tested. Signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions and insane asylums. We're going to have to bring them back. Hate to build those suckers, but you got to get the people off the streets. You know, we used to have, when I was growing up, we had in my area in Queens, I grew up in Queens, we had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor, did anybody know that? Creedmoor. It was a big, I said, Mom, why are those bars on the building? I used to play Little League Baseball there, a place called Cunningham Park. It was quite the baseball player, you wouldn't believe. But I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said, son, you could be a professional baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building, big, powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building. I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see this big building, big, tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of, now that I think it was a pretty unfriendly sight. But I'll never forget, I don't know if it's still there, because they got rid of most of them, you know, the Democrats in New York, they took them down, and the people live on the streets now. That's why you have a lot of the people in California and other places, they live in the streets. They took the mental institutions down. They're expensive. But I'd say, why does that building have those bars? Boy, it wasn't normal. You know, you're used to looking at like a window. But this one, you look at it, all this steel, vicious steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place. Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum. Designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and many others. It is. America is respected again on the world stage. That's another topic. Obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capability, and Operation Midnight Hammer was one of the most successful anyone's ever seen. CNN fake news. I don't know where they are. CNN. Anybody from CNN here? Fake news. Nobody wants to raise their hand anymore. They used to argue here. Now, if you're with CNN, you don't raise your hand. But they said, well, maybe it wasn't that successful, which I really was angry because these pilots took their life in their hands. 2 o'clock in the morning with no moon, dead dark, guns shooting at them. They went in with those beautiful B-2s, and every single bomb went down an air shaft and obliterated it. And CNN came out and said, well, maybe it wasn't, by a scam writer who wrote, you know, fake stories, a lot of fake stories on other topics, right? Because when we did it, we said, that's a terrible thing. You know, the pilots came back and they said, we hit everything. They did a great job. Then on top of that, we launched from a submarine about 30 Tomahawks on top of everything else. The place was obliterated. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Turned out it was worse than it was. You know who could tell you that? The Iranians would tell you that. Because if they do anything, they're going to have to start a brand new place. But they did an amazing job. It was like what we did with Venezuela. I mean, nobody's ever seen a military operation like that. Ended 8 unendable wars in 10 months. These were unendable wars. Cambodia and Thailand fighting for years. Kosovo and Serbia. The Congo and Rwanda. Pakistan and India, they were really going at it. 8 planes shot down. They were going to go nuclear, in my opinion. The Prime Minister of Pakistan was here, and he said President Trump saved 10 million people and maybe much more than that. They're both nuclear countries. Israel and Iran. Egypt and Ethiopia were going to fight over a dam, and I got them to stop. I still got to work it out, because they put a dam up in Ethiopia that stops the flow from a little river called the Nile. I always think of the Nile being in Egypt, you know, beautiful Nile with the pyramids, but they put a dam up. You know who paid for the dam? The United States of America. It's the biggest dam, I think, in the world. They put a dam up. I said, how did you let that happen? Why would we have done that? We financed it. This country would, I don't know. Maybe it was a Republican president, but I don't think it was. I think it was a Democrat. But what a terrible thing. So Egypt basically is, they don't have enough water in the Nile. And they use that for a lot of things, including entertainment and travel and tourism and everything. I mean, I don't know. They got a big dam. I got to work that one out now, too. Armenia and Azerbaijan, President Putin told me, I cannot believe you settled that war. I've been trying to settle that war for 10 years. Armenia and Azerbaijan. They were fighting it for many, many years. And I ended up getting the heads of both countries in my office. The beautiful Oval Office, much more beautiful now than it ever was. And one sat on one side, one sat on the other. He said, I've been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years, and for 22 years I've been killing his people. And the other gentleman, and both very good guys, said, I've been here for 7 years, and for 7 years I've been killing his people. And they started over there, and within an hour they were next to each other, and by the time we ended, they were hugging each other, and it's been a great peace, Should have gotten the Nobel Prize for each war, but I don't say that. I say millions and millions of people. And don't let anyone tell you that Norway doesn't control the shots, okay? It's in Norway. Norway controls the shots. They'll say, we have nothing to do with it. It's a joke. They've lost such prestige. That's why I have such respect for Maria doing what she did. She said, I don't deserve the Nobel Prize. He does. When she got it, they said, wow, that's amazing. I thought President Trump would get it. President Trump deserves it. He ended up 8 wars. How nice, right? It's a good woman. Got all 20 living hostages returned to their families, and the remains, they all came out. We got the 20 living hostages. We got the 28 hostages. They have 1 left that we think we know where it is. Amazing. Looked like we weren't going to get anywhere near that. Now they've gotten almost. And more importantly, we got many more, hundreds. We got them all. If we didn't do it, you wouldn't have had, most of those people would have been dead. I don't know if that's covered properly, but the 20 is great. They were the last ones. I always said the last 20 are going to be hard, but we got them. We got the last 20, and we got close to 28 of the bodies of the dead. And to those parents, that was just as important as getting their son back alive. They were almost even more intent on they knew their son was dead. They wanted to get the body. I got him back. We just created the Board of Peace, which I think is going to be amazing. I wish the United Nations could do more. I wish we didn't need a Board of Peace, but the United Nations, and with all the wars I settled, the United Nations never helped me on one war. I mean, I guess I'm not blaming them. I didn't call them to help, but I got, the presidents and prime ministers together. We knocked heads. We got along, and they liked me. I liked them. Every single one of them nominated me for a Nobel Prize. Every one of the wars, among many other people, nominated me for a Nobel Prize. But Putin told me, I cannot believe you got this war settled. I've worked on it for 10 years because it's his territory. Rescued 83 American hostages and citizens detained from abroad without paying a lot of money. Paid no money. Apprehended terrorists responsible for the Abbey Gate bombing that claimed the lives of 13 U.S. service members in Afghanistan, the lowest point in the history of our country. That was a Biden disaster. I was getting out, but I was getting out with dignity and strength. We were the boss. Oh, we were the boss. They wouldn't do a thing against us. And this very stupid person got in, and what a shame. They should have left from Bagram, which is the big military base, which has hundreds of acres around it. Should have left from Bagram. Terminated visas of Hamas sympathizers and deported pro-jihad foreign nationals. Got NATO members to agree to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP from 2%, and they pay the 5%, and they didn't pay the 2%. And by the way, I did more for NATO than any other person alive or dead. Nobody's done for NATO And I think for the most part they'll tell you that. I think you could ask the Secretary General about that, but he said it a lot. I've done more for NATO than anybody, and I see all this stuff, but NATO has to treat us fairly too. The big fear I have with NATO is we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO, and I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours. You know, I'm just asking. Just saying, right? You remember during the debate? Just saying. Signed $1 trillion investment in U.S. military. And next year we hopefully will go to a $1.5 trillion. We're building battleships that are 100 times more powerful than the battleships of World War II, which are the big, beautiful, those big, beautiful things with the guns. I said, what about bringing them out of dry dock? They said, sir, what we're building will blow them away. Think of it. These ships are 100 times more powerful than the battleships that you see on Victory at Sea. Do you ever see Victory at Sea? What a great thing that is to watch. Renamed the Department of Defense into the Department of War, which everyone loves, by the way. Signed landmark critical minerals deals with Australia, Malaysia, Thailand, Ukraine, Japan, and many others. We're going to have so much rare earth. It's actually not that rare. Getting it processed is rare, but there's a lot of rare earth. There's a lot of earth around, I can tell you. Withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization where we were paying hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So we were paying $500 million a year, and China was paying $37 million a year. I said, why aren't we paying the same as China? They said, well, nobody asked. I said, China's got 1.4 billion people. We have 350 million, probably with all the illegals, you know. China probably knows more accurately. But we have much smaller in terms of the number of people. We have a much more powerful military, but we have much smaller. I rebuilt the military during my first term, by the way. And while they gave away a lot to Afghanistan, the Taliban, which was just horrible seeing them, every year seeing them do that military down some dirty street, is a disgrace. But while Biden gave a lot of it away, it's a tiny fraction compared to what we did. I rebuilt the military, and now we're continuing to build it. And bigger and better, we need it, peace through strength. But we withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. So I remember we were paying $500 million, they were paying 37 or 39 million. And I said, how come? So I withdrew, and they called, we'll give you the same deal that they had. I said, well, it should be less than that, because if they're at 37 and you have 3 times, 4 times the number of people, even maybe 5 times, I don't know. So it should be less, but I didn't want to chisel around. And I thought about it. So I could have taken 500 million to 37, and everybody knew it. I chose not to do it because it was actually very popular when I got out, because they were terrible. And so I chose not to take that deal. First thing Biden did is go back into it. You know what he paid? More than 500 million. So I actually called them. I said, you know, you can buy it for less. You can make a deal at 37. There's no reason to pay 500. They didn't care. They paid more than 500. Did you know that? They paid more than 500 million. I made a deal at 37. I could have had 37. They were public about it. We'll give you the same deal that China has for 37. And they paid $500 million. That's the way you ruin a country. And it's the same attitude that, you know, you have on everything else with these people. They were terrible. The anti-American UN Human Rights Council we ended. The UN Relief and Works Agency we ended. And the fake Paris Climate Accord, which was a ripoff of America, where we had to pay $1 trillion and they were paying nothing. China didn't kick in until 2035. We kicked in immediately. We were supposed to pay $1 trillion. Russia went to a standard of 1991, which was a dirtier standard. But we had to pay top dollar. So I terminated that. Another Rick. We ended the woke lunacy and restored common sense, abolished all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI policies throughout the federal government and the private sector. They're gone, everybody. They're gone. Terrible. Terminated the Green New Scam and ended the insane electric vehicle mandate. I love electric vehicles. that caused me a little problem with a man named Elon. But he understands, and he's a good guy. We get along, but I said, Elon, we can't have all electric cars. We just can't do it. I like the electric cars. I like his car. But in particular, I like his car. But we can't do that because some people don't want an electric car by 2030. And to build the power stations all over the country would have cost $4 trillion. $4 trillion, that's more than any country has. If you got China, the United States, and everyone, you couldn't do it. And it would have taken years, and yet they were supposed to be switching over electric vehicle mandate. Some people don't like electric cars. Some people want hybrids. Some people want regular gasoline-powered cars. We have more gasoline than anybody. And now with Venezuela, we have 62% of the market when you include Venezuela. So I ended the Green New Scam, and I ended the insane electric vehicle mandate. Now you can buy a gasoline-powered car, a hybrid, and you can buy a electric vehicle. I mean, if you think, if you want electric, you can buy it. Make a good deal on them right now because they made a lot of them. Permanently stopped Joe Biden's ridiculous CAFE standards. That's having to do with the environment, so ridiculous. Cancel the EPA's absurd, totally absurd, tailpipe emission standard, which made you spend hundreds of thousands. It made for hundreds of thousands of cars. The numbers, the cost numbers were incredible that the consumer has to pay. Imposed 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles and 100% tariff on Chinese cars which don't come into the country because of tariffs. Only because of tariffs. We didn't have tariffs, you wouldn't have any car. We have now more car factories being built in the United States than ever before because of tariffs. If they take those tariffs away, China will eat our lunch. They'll take all of our car business. Now, there's another way of doing it, but it's more cumbersome, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to scare you, but it's much more cumbersome, not as good for national security as this. We have a perfect system right now. We're making a fortune. We've never been stronger, and I hope the Supreme Court does the right thing for our country, because if they don't, it's such a problem. It's just so, it would be so sad. We're doing so well because of tariffs. And the people that are heading up the lawsuit, like there's a guy named Leonard Leo, who's a bad guy, and people that are very China-oriented and foreign car-oriented and foreign business-oriented, but in particular China, they're suing to get rid of tariffs because they don't want tariffs, like Coke. Coke has businesses outside of the United States. If you have them outside, you don't want tariffs. But because of tariffs, they treat us well. Without tariffs, they would treat us very badly. As you saw for many years, they respect us more now than they ever have respected us, by a lot. And revoked the California emissions waiver to stop San Francisco communists from regulating the automobile industry and destroying automobiles and the industry in the nation. I was with Bill Ford of Ford Motors. I was with all the people at General Motors the other day, and they are making more money and building more cars than they are doing so good. All because of tariffs and what I've done. And they're building their plants all in the United States. Reopened Anwar for drilling. That's a big deal. Launched a massive Alaskan pipeline project to export natural gas to Asia. We made a deal with South Korea and with Japan that gives us money, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. Signed executive orders to end Biden's war on coal and I say clean, beautiful coal. I never say the word coal. It has to be preceded by the words clean, beautiful coal. And put miners back to work. The miners love Trump. I think I got 100% of their vote. We banned transgenders from the military. We don't want transgender in the military. Ordered reinstatement of patriots expelled from our military with full back pay. So we had some people that were terminated and they're coming back into our military. Fired the woke boards of visitors at our military service academies. The boards of visitors were run by radical left maybe communists, maybe not, but they were still heavily radical left, and they were bad for us. Signed an executive order to remove anti-American propaganda from federal museums and national parks. Required the federal employees to return to work in person or be fired. We don't want them sitting in their home or in their bed working. We want them in an office that we're paying for in Washington, D.C. or wherever it may be. And we've largely taken care of that mess. That was crazy. I guarantee you they're out on the ball fields. I guarantee you they're out playing golf. And you can't run a country or a company that way. I think it's happening even so with countries and companies. But we had so many of our federal workers, they wouldn't come into work. Signed an order banning all government censorship and restoring free speech. Made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders. This was not a tough one. Two genders. Can anybody guess what they are? Male and female. I think the Democrats know that too, but they refuse to admit it. Ban the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of children. Can you imagine saying this 15 years ago? That we banned the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of our children. You know, when I say it, I say, do I have to say that? I actually asked my people today, yes, sir, because people, that's where the country went. Banned men from playing in women's sports. Big Supreme Court case on that. I mean, I can't believe it. Some of the justices were fighting hard for men to be able to play in women's sports, a couple of them. I can't imagine it, but I think anybody that rules that way should lose a lot of credibility. But we banned men from playing in women's sports. All you have to do is look at the records, look at weightlifting records, look at swimming records, look at track and field. It's not fair. It's very demeaning to women. Banned transgender ideology and critical race theory from our schools. Secured unprecedented settlements with Brown University, Columbia University, and many other colleges, including the University of Pennsylvania, where I went, the great old Wharton School of Finance. To restore fairness and merit, we're working with Harvard right now. They've been very anti-Semitic. Terrible what they've done. And we'll see what happens. I hear we have a deal, but who the hell knows with them? They have a lawyer that wants to show how hot he is. Ended taxpayer-funded student loan forgiveness for radical left and anti-American activists. Can you believe it? Began the process of abolishing the Federal Department of Education and returning education back to the states. And Linda McMahon is doing a fantastic job. Ended Joe Biden's weaponization of our government and removed his hand-picked radical left Marxist prosecutors from the Department of Justice, like deranged Jack Smith. He's a sick son of a bitch. They gave me the worst of the worst. And here I am. How did that happen? How did that happen? He's a sick guy, and Letitia James is sick, and Alvin Bragg is sick. They're sick people. And others. Fani, you can't call her Fanny. She doesn't like it. She wants to be called Fani. Fani Willis. I won. Can you imagine putting somebody through that? And then if I suggest that somebody may be guilty of a terrible crime, oh, he's weaponizing government. Trump is weaponizing government. It's terrible. Can you imagine? They say to me about weaponize, I don't weaponize anything. But what they did to me, nobody ever went through what I went through. And here I am in a place called the White House. It's a beautiful place. Who would have thought, right? Signed legislation to cut all taxpayer funding to woke and biased NPR and PBS. And they're sort of gone now, I guess. I heard they closed up. They were terrible. They were so unfair. They were so terrible. Officially reinstated Columbus Day. I like the name Columbus Day. The Italian people are very happy about it. Remember, when you go to the voting booths, I reinstated Columbus Day. That was an easy one. Christopher Columbus. Cut Social Security wait times by 50%, serve 65% more Social Security recipients by phone, and are on track to doubling the service and performance compared to the Biden administration. We're 2.5 to 3 times better and faster. Slash VA claims backlog to the lowest number ever recorded. Created Trump accounts starting with $1,000 for every newborn baby. This is something that's become so popular. And I give Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell Computer, who put in $6.25 billion, started with nothing. And he actually invested all that money to give to kids so that when they grow up, they have an account that might be worth a lot of money. It'll be riding with the markets. And, you know, they can, at 20 years old, 21 years old, they could have $100,000. They could have a lot of money. That's going to be amazing. But I give a lot of credit to Mr. and Mrs. Michael Dell. Signed an AI executive order to ensure the United States dominates the future of artificial intelligence. So we're leading China. We're leading the whole world. We're producing more electricity than we ever have because I'm allowing every one of those plants to build their own electric facility. We're giving them very, very fast approvals, unlike Los Angeles with a fire. So the federal government, I want to give a lot of credit to Lee Zeldin. The hardest approval for the 20,000 houses or more that burned down in Los Angeles because they didn't have the water. They didn't allow the water to come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed the water into the Pacific Ocean. So we had no water there. No, he had. I would say open up the water. Open it up to the governor, to the mayor. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to protect a tiny little fish that's, you know, I said, how can you have a fish when you don't have any water? It was just an excuse, I guess. But it's amazing. We took 20,000 houses, and Lee Zeldin, the toughest permit is from the federal government. Within 2 weeks, every single permit was given to the people to build their houses. Then you have the incompetent mayor of Los Angeles. He's neutral, who decided to go to Africa during the fire. So you have this incompetent mayor, and I had it out with her the night when I got, right after the fire, I went there. She said, we're working on it so that we can have everybody starting to build within 2 or 3 years. Remember that? I said, you mean 2 or 3 days? No, I mean 2 or 3 years. And the place went crazy. Well, they still haven't gotten their permits. But every federal permit, every single one has been given a year ago. And Lee Zeldin has done a great job. And he's done a great job in the approval of all these big plants and factories and all of the electricity that they're creating for themselves. I said to Zuckerberg, I said to all of them, I said to Jeff Bezos, I said to everybody. Mark Zuckerberg couldn't believe it. He said, you know, where are we going to get all the electricity? Because you need double the electricity that the country currently makes just to fire up those big plants. I said, well, nobody can do that. So what we're going to do is let you make your own electricity. Nobody believed it. And I said, we're going to get you fast permits. So we get them within 2 weeks. And they're coming up with some of the most incredible electric plants you've ever seen. So each one of those massive buildings, AI or otherwise, is building their own electricity. They're building their own plant. And it's incredible. Many of them are under construction already. They're going to have, we're leading AI and we're leading China by a lot. Established a MAHA presidential commission, banned many artificial food dyes, as you know, issued new vaccine recommendations, and created new real food pyramid. And Bobby and Dr. Oz have been incredible. Provided $12 billion in aid for American farmers. Just gave them $12 billion in aid because they got screwed by other nations. And the number of drug dealers have fallen every single month since I took office. Drug dealers are way down in the United States. And that's a small version of what's sitting right there. That's just a small version. We took a country that was dead, and it's the hottest country in the world right now, and that's after 1 year. So let's go. That's a lot of people. All right, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. One, do you want your Board of Peace to replace the UN?
Well, it might. I mean, the UN just hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of the UN potential, but it has never lived up to its potential. The UN should have settled every one of the wars that I settled. I never went to them. I never even thought to go to them. They should be able to settle those wars. They don't. I believe you got to let the UN continue because the potential is so great.
And another one, you invited Lula from Brazil to be part of the Board of Peace.
I did.
What role do you
I did.
expect him to play, especially
A big role. I like him.
Venezuela?
Yeah,
And
I like
another one, because the
Are you from Brazil?
Yes. The EU and Mercosur just signed a trade agreement this weekend, which is going to be the biggest trade zone, free zone in the world.
Right.
At the moment, you are talking a lot about tariffs. What is your reaction to that? So, two questions, Lula.
Well, look, I just think this. I think we have trade like we've never had before. We're doing better in trade than we ever have before. We're not being ripped off by every country in the world like we were before. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever thought possible. We're the richest we ever were. It's because of tariffs and the proper use of tariffs, and we're also the most secure. As an example, Iceland, without tariffs, they wouldn't even be talking to us about it. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to work out quite well. Yeah, right behind.
Thank you, Mr. President. How would you characterize your relationship with Emmanuel Macron and Keir Starmer right now? And have you spoken to them since your Truth Social post last
No, I
night?
haven't, but I think I get along very well with them. I mean, they always treat me well. They get a little bit rough when they're, when I'm not around. But when I'm around, they treat me very nicely. And, I like both of them. They're both liberal. They've got to straighten out their countries. You can't, London is having a lot of problems. And if you look at Paris, got a lot of problems. They have two problems, immigration and energy. They got to stop with the windmills, and they got to go back like UK has an unbelievable asset called the North Sea. Norway uses it, makes a fortune. They have a better section of it, and they don't do it. They could straighten out their countries, and it would be good. But I get along very well with them.
You told Norway's prime minister.
Are you from Norway?
No.
You look like you would be from Norway. But she looks like she's from Norway. Go ahead.
You told Norway's prime minister that you not winning the Nobel Peace Prize made you feel less obligated to think purely of peace.
Well, I lost a lot of respect for Norway. And I believe very strongly that Norway controls the Nobel Prize. But you have to understand, I settled 8 wars. I've had every one of those wars, every participant wrote, I didn't ask him to do it. They sent in strong they make recommendations for that. But I settled 8 wars. No president's probably ever settled 1 war. I don't know, think of it. I did 8. The reason I do it is because it's easy for me to do. And I didn't do it for a Nobel Prize. I did it because I'm saving a lot of lives. I'm trying to settle the final one. I'm trying to do Russia-Ukraine. And when Russia's ready, Ukraine's not. When Ukraine's ready, Russia's not. But they're losing 25,000 people a month on average. And I'm trying to get that one done. But no, I feel that Norway has tremendous control over who gets the Nobel Prize, despite what they say.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
Mr. President, Kevin Hassett has said that those $2,000 tariff rebate checks would be up to Congress to decide whether or not to disperse that. Do you agree with Kevin Hassett on that, or do you think you can do that unilaterally?
No, I don't think we would have to go the Congress route, but we'll find out. The reason we're even talking about it is that we have so much money coming in from tariffs that we'll be able to issue at least a $2,000 dividend and also pay down debt for the country. But we'd do a $2,000 dividend to the people of our country. Would probably set a limit of, income limit where it made sense. But we will be able to make a very substantial dividend to the people of our country. I believe we can do that without Congress.
Last night on Truth Social, you said that the British plan to hand the base at Diego Garcia over to Mauritius and then rent it back was an act of great stupidity. Previously, you backed that deal. Is it now your position that the deal should not go ahead?
I think that they, when they originally were going to do it, they were talking about doing some concept of ownership. But now they're looking to essentially just do a lease and sell it. And I'm against that. It's a reasonably nothing like Greenland, but it's a reasonably important area of the globe. Not to anywhere near Greenland, but I think they should keep it. I don't know why they're doing it. Do they need money?
Mr. President, with your support to the Syrian government, most probably you avoided another civil war and a bloodshed in Syria, especially after the fall of the regime.
I did a good job.
And, the Syrian government, the last 2 weeks, had to use some force to implement its force on specific areas. And
well,
with
to keep the prisoners, the terrorist prisoners, which are some of the worst in the world, at bay. So they were able to keep that. He's working very hard. The president of Syria is working very, very hard. Strong guy, tough guy, pretty rough resume. But you're not going to put a choir boy in there and get the job done. I spoke with him yesterday because we were talking about the prisons and what was going on. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world in those prisons, and he's watching them.
Oh, Syria, sir.
Mr. President, Gavin Newsom is going to be at Davos if he's not already there. You're probably going to run into him. I presume that this is for him to raise his platform for 2028. But what do you anticipate his foreign policy platform is going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he's going to be the nominee. I know this. I had a very good relationship with Gavin Newsom when we were, in office together. I was president. He was the governor of California. We had he would talk about it often, and somewhere we just went astray. I just hate the way California is being run. We actually have people leaving. It's never happened before, but I hate the way it's being run. He and I had a very good relationship, really close to the word exceptional, but now we seem not to.
Thank you, President Trump. President Trump, you spoke earlier.
Mr. President, you've been hearing from allies.
Thank you. Thank you so much, President Trump. Cara Castronova from Lindell TV. And you spoke earlier about the 2020 election. Now that Maduro is in U.S. custody and he was criminally charged, has any more information emerged that you could share with us regarding Venezuelan election software and Venezuelan ties to tampering with the 2020 election? And would you consider speaking to Maduro personally in prison in New York to get some answers on Venezuela's involvement with the 2020 election?
No, I don't think I would be doing that. I think my lawyers would be very unhappy if I did that. Yeah, they've learned some things. Please.
What happens to the tariff threat to Greenland if the Supreme Court comes out and rules against you on the tariffs? And
well, I'll have to use something else. I mean,
are
look,
you willing to use force?
Take a look at the word license. Take a look at other things. I mean, we have other alternatives. But what we're doing now is the best, the strongest, the fastest, the easiest, the least complicated.
Sir, if you move ahead with the Greenland-related tariffs on Europe, you secured almost $1 trillion of commitments from them to invest in the United States. Does that go kaput out the window if that happens?
I doubt it. Look, they need that agreement very badly with us. They really do. They fought very hard to get it. So I doubt that, but we'll see what happens. We have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. I'm leaving tonight, as you know, for Davos. And we have a lot of meetings scheduled on Greenland. And I think things are going to work out pretty well, actually.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you still go to Paris for the G7 emergency meeting as offered by President Macron?
No, I wouldn't do that. No. Because, Emmanuel's not going to be there very long. And, there's no longevity there. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice guy. I like Macron. But he's not going to be there very much longer, as you know. And I think, I have meetings with the people that are directly involved, not some of the people you're talking about.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy New
I've
Year.
never seen this room like this. Is this a celebration of the first year?
Yes.
Have you ever seen it? I've never seen this many. I hope we have a very good structural floor. This used to be a swimming pool. You're sitting over a swimming pool. I could see that happen. But we need a good structure here, don't we, huh? Yeah.
Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Happy 1-year anniversary.
Thank you.
And my question is on Syria. The Kurds, as the most loyal U.S. partners, facing attacks by some Syrian elements within the Syrian government. Will you do to ensure the Kurdish rights protected and their effective forces against terrorism in Rojava, Syria continue, as the Kurdish see you as a president does not abandon his allies?
Well, I like the Kurds, but just so you understand, the Kurds were paid tremendous amounts of money, were given oil and other things, so they were doing it for themselves, more so than they were doing it for us, but we got along with the Kurds, and we are trying to protect the Kurds. That's correct.
Ahead of your speech in Davos, can you give us a preview of what we can expect as far as laying out the plans for Americans to be able to buy homes?
I think more than anything else, what I'm going to be speaking about is the tremendous success that we've had in 1 year. I didn't think we could do it this fast. Think of it, it's just now 12 months, and I say it often, we have the most successful country in the world, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far, and this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead. And I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be, because a lot of them could use some of the advice as to what we did. They need energy. You take a look at their energy policy, they're going to destroy themselves with what they're doing with the windmills and all the nonsense. They need energy help badly, or they're going to be in big trouble, and they need immigration help badly. How much longer do you want to go?
Call it.
I do. I have a very important call with President Erdogan, who I like a lot. All right, one or two more questions. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. During your second,
go ahead.
One question about the
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The red blouse. Go ahead.
You talked a lot at the beginning of this about the economy, some positive economic indicators. Polling shows the majority of Americans don't feel the economy is doing well. Are you worried you're making the same mistake as President Biden by telling
No, I hope I don't make the same mistake as him. Look, I inherited a terrible, it's a great question, because we inherited a terrible, terrible mess between the border, between all the problems. The whole country was falling apart. And in 12 months, less than 12 months, in 12 months, we have the strongest border we've ever had. We have prices that are much, much lower than they were for the last time. We inherited very high prices. We inherited, remember this, inflation was at a historic high. We had never had inflation like that. They say 48 years, but whether it's 48 years or ever, we had the highest inflation, in my opinion, that we've ever had. Prices, because of that, were very high. I inherited, we brought down eggs immediately. Remember the first news conference, they were screaming at me about eggs. I was in the position for 2 days, and we brought eggs down to lower than what they were before. And by the way, they continue that way. We brought the prices down from when I came into office and from what Biden had, way down. We're going to bring them down further. But the job we did is a miracle. One of the reasons I'm doing this today is to explain. We inherited a mess, and we've made it a beautiful, beautiful picture. Think of gasoline at $1.99 in many states. $1.99 a gallon. It was $4.50, $5, in some cases $6 or $7. We're at $1.99. And energy is so big that with energy, everything else comes down. But the prices are coming way down, and we're going to bring them down further. But we started up here with these guys. We inherited a country that was broken. We inherited a country, and I have a very warm spot. We've done very well with Venezuela. And by the way, that even in itself is going to help us bring down the oil prices. The Venezuelan oil, we've taken 50 million gallons of oil. We've taken 50 million barrels of oil out of Venezuela in the first 4 days. We've got millions of barrels of oil left. We're selling it on the open market. We're bringing down oil prices incredibly. And when they come down, and they've already come down, again, $1.99 a gallon for oil. Nobody thought they'd ever see it. All right, one or two more. Go ahead, go. Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
I want to ask you about Iran. Is the military option still on the table? And can you assure us that the killing in Iran has stopped? And when regard to the Peace Council, which members have to pay $1 billion?
So with Iran, are you from Iran?
No, I cover the White House.
Where are you from?
I'm Palestinian American.
So with Iran, they were going to hang 837 people. And I let them be known that, and we let them know that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them. And they decided not to do it. They didn't hang the people. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but supposedly they've taken that off the table. But they were going to, last week, they were going to hang on Thursday or Wednesday. They were going to hang, I think, 837 people. And they didn't hang anybody. So we're just going to have to see what happens with Iran. Is the military option off the table? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
President Trump. Thank you, President
Go
Trump.
ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations on your
President.
first year.
Go ahead, I'll take your question.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
President.
Go ahead,
Mr.
right here.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised during your second inaugural to always put America first. I'm curious, how would you winning the Nobel Peace Prize improve the lives of average, everyday Americans? Why is this prize so important?
It wouldn't improve the lives of any. What improved the lives of people are people that are living. I saved probably tens of millions of lives in the wars. You know, if you add up the numbers, just if you look at any one of those wars, you're talking about millions of people. You multiply it times 8. But when you look at India and Pakistan, that could have been 10, 15, 20 million people. Could have been more than that. So I saved millions of people. So that to me is the big thing. What?
You suggested a moment ago that perhaps the reason why a positive story about the economy isn't getting through is because of, bad communications people. But are average Americans wrong to still feel high prices? And how much longer does the White House hope that they?
So I think a lot of people are listening to the fake news a little bit, and I'm not blaming anybody. I think I blame ourselves. I think we've done a much better job than we're able to promote. We're not promoting. We're doing a great job, and we're sort of letting the promotion take care of itself. One of the reasons I'm doing this news conference, I think it's important. We have taken a mess and made it really good. It's going to get even better. But if you look at prices from a year or a year and a half ago, you look at the Biden prices, they were way up through the sky. And, they use the word affordability. They just say affordability and they don't talk about it. They created the affordability problem, and we are solving it. We have solved a lot of it. Again, everybody agrees in this room, I think, gasoline prices have come per gallon way down. When that happens, everything else comes down, but they've come down way down. Many of the groceries have come way down. It's all happening, and it's happening strong. But if you go back a year and a half, 2 years, take a look at those prices and look at the prices now.
Mr. President, on Venezuela, you made a condition.
Where are you from?
I'm from Spain.
Nice place.
Thank you. You made a condition that the political prisoners should be freed. It seems that they are not being as fast as they promised in the beginning. Would that be an issue for the current government?
They've agreed that they're going to let, I guess, most of them out. Depends on what they did, but they have released a lot of. Released a lot of political prisoners in Venezuela.
Mr. President, earlier on last year, you had indicated that you wanted to take back the Panama Canal. I know we've heard a lot about Greenland. Is that still on the table?
I don't want to tell you that. Sort of. I must say, sort of. That's sort of. Okay, one more. Yes, blonde, blue. Yes, go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead with the blue, holding the computer.
If a consequence of your determination to take control of Greenland is the ultimate breakup of the NATO alliance, is that a price you're willing to pay?
You mean the breakup of it's very interesting.
The NATO alliance.
So I think something's going to happen that's going to be very good for everybody. Nobody's done more for NATO than I have, as I said before, in every way. Getting them to go up to 5% of GDP was something that nobody thought was possible, and pay. At 2% they weren't paying. At 5% they are paying. and they're buying a lot of things from us, and they're giving them, I guess, to Ukraine. That's up to them, but they're giving them to whoever they're giving them to, but they're buying a lot. I think that we will work something out where NATO is going to be very happy and where we're going to be very happy. But we need it for security purposes. We need it for national security and even world security. It's very important. How about it?
Thank you very much. First of all, last year you told me that you believe that the reason you won the election is because God put you in this place so that you could save the world. Looking back 1 year, do you feel like God is proud of the effort that you've put in?
I do, actually. I think God is very proud of the job I've done. And that includes for religion. You know, we're protecting a lot of people that are being killed. Christians, and Jewish people, and lots of people are being protected by me that wouldn't be protected by another type of president. No, I think a lot of people are very proud of the job we've done. We've had an amazing year. This has been one of the greatest years. Even some people that wouldn't necessarily love me instinctively, they're saying this was an incredible year. We've had an incredible year economically. Look at our border. Our border was a disaster. People poured. It was an invasion into our country of a lot of very bad people. Good people too, but a lot of very bad people from prisons and drug dealers and gangs and horrible people, murderers, thousands and thousands of murderers allowed into our country. And we now have the strongest border of any country. There's probably not a country, I guess North Korea has a pretty strong border, by the way, but there's not a country in the world that has a border like we do. And we took it from the worst border. We had the worst border in the world. Now we have one of the strongest borders in the world. One more question.
Mr. President, you said you're confident something's going to get worked out in Greenland, but Greenlanders have made it clear they don't want to be part of the U.S.
Well,
what gives the U.S. the right to take away that
spoken.
self-determination?
When I speak to them, I'm sure they'll be thrilled.
Mr. President, are you committed to keeping the U.S. in NATO?
I've had such a good relationship. I've made it so much better, so much stronger. It's so good now. NATO is so much stronger now. I don't agree with a lot of the things they've done, but that was done before I got there. I think NATO's been good. Sometimes it's overrated, sometimes it's not. But we have a strong NATO. When I came here, we had a weak NATO. We had a NATO at 2%, and they weren't paying. You had a nothing NATO. NATO's, whether you like it or not, it's only as good as we are. If NATO doesn't have us, NATO is not very strong. Yes, no, behind you, please.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yes, go ahead.
Really appreciate it, sir. We heard a long list of accomplishments from the last year. Could you cherry pick the top 3? And then looking forward, what are your 3 most important priorities in 2026?
So I think the building of a really powerful military has been a great achievement, and that would include the Venezuela thing, that would include the attack on Iran and the wiping out of the nuclear threat. I think that's been really amazing what we've done militarily. I think what we've done in business has been incredible. We have $18 trillion coming in. Plants are being built all over. Thousands of plants are being built all over the country. 18 trillion is a record. No country has ever come anywhere even close to that. I think that's a record. And I think that most favored nations for drugs is something that nobody thought they'd be able to get. Tariffs helped me there because the nations would have never gone along with it if I wasn't able to say, if you don't go along with it, we're going to put a 10 or a 15 or a 20% tariff on your nation. And they went along. And our drug prices are going to come down at numbers never even seen before, never even thought possible before. So those would be 3 things. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
How much did you pay for Greenland, sir?
How was the game?
Go Indiana.